welcome to the video. John Bodine here with Redemptive Psych, and in this video we're starting a new series going deeper, going further into the mechanics of how the types actually work. The result of this, at the very least, will help you understand yourself and others as far as why there are tensions within your mind, why there's anxiety here and confidence here and responsibility here and joy here, and why you're really critical here and how that affects your sense of care and responsibility. There's these mechanics that may seem a little overwhelming and complicated at first glance, but with a simple framework and some explanation, I think they can clear up and become very valuable assets for our understanding within the psychology. Now, there's three concepts we're going to discuss in here, but I'm going to start with the model first. Now, I talked about this model in a video, which I'll link above, about Jung's the most important figure in Jung's work. Now, he pulled that, he extrapolated it, I believe he edited it from his research and his scholarly work. But it's this figure here, this circle with a crosshair and then a little circle in the middle. Now, we will stick the functions here. We have one for the judgment functions, the thinking, feeling functions, and then one for the intuition functions, the perception functions, the intuition, and the sensing functions. Now, introverted thinking. Let's take the perspective of introverted thinking. That's at the top here. The other judgment functions have some relationship to it. The most opposite, the furthest away from introverted thinking, is introverted feeling. These are similar orientations in that both those functions are an internal guidance decision-making function. Do I make it based on logic? Do I make it based on my evaluations or my values? And likewise, extroverted feeling and extroverted thinking are the furthest apart. Now, in relation to an introverted thinking hero, like an ISTP or an INTP, introverted feeling is the most pushed down. It's the furthest away. Whereas extroverted feeling is conscious, but it's lower. If their hero is TI, their inferior is FE. Jung talked about this in his Psychological Types book, that the hero function, or he called it the superior function, is held in tension by an inferior function. Where we are confident, where we are competent, where we like to go to is held in tension by an inferior function, by the place that we're kind of prone to ignore. So TI's relationship with FE, they share a relationship, they share a connection, they share communication. Likewise, TI's relationship with TE, extroverted thinking, also shares communication, also shares a stream of conversation, a stream of influence. Now, I've labeled these relationships certain things. There's three relationships: that which is most directly opposed, that which is conscious and kind of the auxiliary nature, or let's say, auxiliary is not quite the right word. This is a different function type. We have thinking and feeling, but they are connected. It has been called on a cognitive axis before, but there is a relationship here too. Likewise, there is a relationship between a function of the same kind, a thinking function, and then its variance. And this part is a little less conscious because it's of the same nature. We don't have two conscious functions that are both feeling or both thinking. We have to develop and work to become aware of both of them. So I'm going to go over these concepts here in relation to this. So I have come up with my own labels. There's other labels out there. I'll mention those labels too. And the reason I'm using these labels, partly it's an experiment. I want to experiment if these labels will stick, if they make sense, the more we hash it out. Now, real quick, I am going to go into more depth into these concepts in each video. This is just capturing a vague but wide vision of this series, which is the mechanics between the functions and the attitudes. So let's say what I'm calling cognitive friends. These are a function pairing that are both conscious and that have tension on each other. The reason I say friends is because it's like when the other needs help. Now, our own, in our own mind, we have tension or discomfort potentially, or something else going on when we ignore the other side of it. But cognitive fringe also has been called like cognitive access. Beebe in his book referred to these four function pairs as being on an axis with each other. They communicate, they influence each other, and they're both conscious. So SI, introverted sensing, and NE is one of those pairings. What I've been through, and then my ability to predict what might happen or what might come. I want to be desired by others. I want to be chosen. Therefore, I need to be loyal. I need to be attentive. I need to do my duty, right? Those are paired together. TI and FE are paired together. It's like what I think will help people, or what do I think about that person's values. It's an internal logic process and then an external care or help or shaping values in some way. These two work together. They're on an axis, right? So cognitive fringe. Introverted intuition and extroverted sensing. What I want, what are the steps around me to get there? Or inversed, what is around me? Of all the things I'm aware of around me, which one might I want? Or which things might I want? Or if I'm in an environment where I'm playing sports or a dangerous environment, I'm aware of my surroundings and I'm going to find the path forward, okay? That's how one of the ways NI and SE work together. And then FI and TE, gathering information, extroverted thinking, gathering information, gathering reference points, okay? Being able to process out the steps to get something done. And then my values, my principles, my process for evaluation. How do I sift through all the information I have? How do I combine and separate the information so that what's left is a very valuable bundle of helpful knowledge, helpful information? Now, next is, we just talked about this relationship here. Next is the other relationship. Cognitive mentors is what I'm calling it. The reason I'm calling it mentors is because one functions conscious, the other is unconscious. There's a deeper shaping taking place, a deeper guidance taking place here. Now, real quick, to zoom out, these three concepts, all of the relationships between the functions have to do with growth and awareness, okay? We grow and become more aware through integrating this aspect and then this aspect and then eventually this aspect. All these three are concerned with growth and building awareness, but in different ways for different purposes. I realize I skipped this wheel too, but I think you guys will get the idea just fine. So cognitive mentors, introverted sensing and extroverted sensing. Let's take an ISFJ or an ISTJ again. They have introverted sensing hero. So that's an awareness of my own experience, my own duty, my own comfort. Extroverted sensing nemesis, or opposing in this case, exists to bring awareness to the ISFJ or the ISTJ of, hey, maybe you don't have all the skills that you should have to deal with what might happen. Or maybe your environment is what's making you uncomfortable. Do you have mastery over your environment? These are some of the questions that extroverted sensing nemesis poses to the ISJ to develop some more awareness of the environment. Also, are you challenging yourself? Are you challenging your area of comfort? Are you exposing yourself to new situations, to new circumstances that will challenge your SI hero to grow, to be challenged, and to develop, okay? So it's a little more uncomfortable, it's a little deeper, it's a little bit more walking through some fire at times when we're talking about this connection here. This is the same function type, the thinking function, TI, TE, a intuition function, NI, NE, etc. Okay, FI and FE. Let's take like an INFP or an ISFP. With FI hero, what I care about, how I evaluate, what I believe will really help people, or what I believe will really make that thing work. And then extroverted feeling nemesis. Have you considered what other people care about? Have you considered how they value it or how they approach it? Have you considered their feelings about it? Have you considered whether other people who have done similar things have been helped or harmed by it, right? Briefly, I'll go over the intuition one too. I'll do NI hero. So the INJs, what I want, my path, my vision forward. It's kind of singular. Extroverted intuition nemesis is like, well, have you considered any other path? Have you looked at what other people who are in your situation want? If you haven't, then you're more likely to fail. Once you consider some other situations, some other choices that other people make, then it will refine your choice. It will make you feel more comfortable, more certain that the choice that you're making is right or better or more wise, because you're not just assuming that whatever you happen to want is the right path for you, okay? The cognitive mentor is pulling you. It's a stretching, right? It's not as comfortable. But the rewards of it are deep, are a little more insight, a little more wisdom, a little more ability to self-sustain, I would say also, which we'll talk about at a later time. And then third, cognitive opponents. This is what's directly across this circle. This is the furthest apart. This is not something I recommend engaging with directly, except for in very small amounts. And even then, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. So, introverted sensing, my duty in my environment around me, what I should be doing, my past, my memory, my strength, my endurance. This is so different. This is as different as it gets from my future, my path, my desire, the forward movement. It is separated from each other. It's like earth and fire. They are fundamentally different, though they are connected in this distant way. Just like, summer and winter are part of the same cycle, but they don't really ever touch. They're super far away, right? Logic and principles, logic and evaluation. Those sound similar, but TI and FI, introverted feeling, introverted thinking, are opposed. My awareness of the environment, my awareness of what's around me, and then all the possibilities, all the futures, all the ways this could go, those are fundamentally opposed. You can't be aware of both of these pairs at the same time. You can't be aware of the social ethics and the social dynamic, and then also the reputations and the standards and all this other stuff. You can't really be aware of it at the same time. It's like the unstoppable force meets the immovable object type of situation between these pairs, okay? So the cognitive opponents, or as other people have called them, cognitive reflection or cognitive mirrors, they are as far apart as it gets. So it's not like we should just jump into it and integrate the opposite thing. Now, the goal here with these functions particularly, the easiest one to talk about is the hero and the demon, because those are the archetypal variant of the cognitive opponents. In order to start integrating the demon, we do it in very, very small amounts, especially when we're doing it consciously, of our own volition. Very, very small amounts. And we do it through the nemesis and the inferior, which are a little bit easier to access. That way, what the demon or the underminer can communicate, what it can show us, is communicated indirectly through the nemesis and the inferior. When you go straight for it, that can lead to some real issues. So, okay, that's a brief overview of the three concepts: cognitive friends, conscious pairs that are have a different nature but can work together, also known as axis. Cognitive mentors, this is stretching, this is pulling us, this is integrating a little bit of what's unconscious. It makes us a little uncomfortable, but we can grow really fast. And then cognitive opponents, what is most directly opposite of a function that we may use. I'm going to go over this real quick in the archetype version, okay? So the hero and the inferior always are cognitive friends, are always cognitive axis. They are connected to each other. So they can help each other out. The inferior is very vulnerable, and the hero needs to realize, for the sake of the person or for someone else, that the hero needs to let go of its kind of pride at some level in order to infuse the inferior with the awareness it needs to grow and be less afraid. The hero and the nemesis are always cognitive mentors. They are of the same function type. Extroverted sensing hero with an ESTP, introverted sensing nemesis. Both sensing, but they are formative, they are shaping. The nemesis is trying to expand and challenge the hero. And it can do that because it has the exact same type of function. It's just the other half, okay? and then the hero and the demon. Or the underminer, what do I push down the most? Back to extrovert sensing hero, ESFP, ESTP. Very, very aware of the environment, very aware of the attention, and very aware of creating good experiences and good reactions for other people. Not so aware of the consequences or what might happen. You can't be aware of both those things at the same time, okay? So eventually, as someone grows and matures, and if they choose or have to develop some of these aspects through some challenge, then an ESFP or ESTP might make careful choices because of their past experience of, okay, that's what happened last time, so I got to be careful of that. And through that, what the demon's trying to communicate is at least respected, okay? Now, what the relationships I just described here are the same down here. The parent and the child are on an axis, are cognitive friends. The parent and the critic are also, orbit. They are the same type of function, cognitive mentors. The parent is responsible in part because the complementary function is so critical of the parent. It's kind of like the stereotype of grandparents being critical of the parent's parenting style. I've seen this a lot where, a kid will go over to a grandparent's house, the parent will come and pick them up later, then the grandparent kind of criticizes their child, the actual parent, about their parenting. It happens a lot because there's conflict here. It's a similar role, sort of, but it's difficult, it's challenging. But this is what makes a type very responsible when the critic is well integrated. And then opposed to each other, the parent and the trickster. I think this is pretty self-explanatory as long as you know what they refer to. A parent can be kind of too serious. It can be like, my responsibilities are my life, and who I help is my purpose. And then the trickster's like, yeah, you're kind of taking yourself way too seriously. You're like missing a lot of other stuff. But the trickster's very like irresponsible, very reckless, kind of unreliable. It's like the most unreliable of all the functions. So these same relationships, axis, orbit, or reflection, or as I'm calling them, the cognitive friends, mentors, and opponents, exist within the archetypes themselves. Anyway, that's the start of this series. This is an overview. We're going to go into this more, into individual pieces. Don't worry if this is new to you. This will make more sense as we go. But again, this is very, very important to take the next step in your knowledge, in your growth, in your application of these concepts. This is where this is more complicated, but it's also more sophisticated. As you learn it, it's going to increase your skill with typing, with navigating your own internal world, and helping others navigate theirs too. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoyed this, or at least got something out of it. And I'll see you next time. Bye.